Back in 2003, a movie came out that featured Mel Gibson. It says, "We were soldiers once and young." The powerful thing about that movie is that it depicted an incredible battle scene out of the Vietnam War. And Gibson goes in with his troops, he's the platoon leader, and he says to them, "There's some things I can't promise you, but I can tell you this, I'm gonna be first on the ground and I'm gonna be the last one out. We're gonna go in together and we're gonna come out together. I'm gonna bring everyone back home." The powerful thing that the movie portrays is the partnership of those men in looking out for one another. If there's anything that keeps us up in life, one of those things is partnering with other people in a common cause. The Apostle Paul knew all about that. When he wrote to the Philippians, in the book of Philippians, in chapter 1 and verse 5, he says, "I always pray with you because of your partnership in the gospel from the first day until now." Now, likely this is a foreign thought to some of you today, but have you ever thought about the partnerships you have been building? Have you ever thought about the people that you're investing into? And that's where the whole beauty of the local church comes in. It's filled with imperfect people, but nonetheless, God is working through them to do something powerful. And I think about those friendships and relationships that I've had in a local church, and I want to encourage you to get connected in a local church because healthy friendships will build you up. Paul says, "I thank God for your partnership." The idea of partnership means that we're with you all the way. You see, as healthy friendships build us up, one of the stories that comes to my mind is out of the Old Testament in the Bible. It's the story of Jonathan, who is the son of King Saul, and David, who would eventually take over for King Saul as the second king of the nation of Israel. And it says that Jonathan went to David at Horesh, and he helped him find strength in God. "Don't be afraid," he said. The powerful thing of that statement is that Jonathan, it says, he went to David and helped him find strength in God. It's a word in the Hebrew language that means he encouraged him in the Lord. Encouragement is so important. It's what comes out of healthy partnerships. And the idea of encouragement, I think, was once said so well by Mark Twain. He said, "I can go for a whole month on one word of encouragement. But if you're like me, I could use 3 or 4 in a given day just to encourage you to keep going, to keep pressing on." You see, more can be accomplished together than alone. And God's design for you and for I is to serve together in community. He's not called you to live in isolation. We have an epidemic right now of many people profess to love Jesus and would call themselves Christ followers, and yet they're not in the church. I want to encourage you to come back to the church, to find a place where you can get connected, where you can invest in. You see, do you know why godly relationships are important, why godly partnerships are so important? Because when you and I invest in unselfish wants, it leaves you and I with unwanted dividends. What are those unwanted dividends? The dividend of being alone, the dividend of discouragement, and the dividend of emptiness. But when you and I invest in godly partnerships, we find encouragement in the drudgery of life. I find there are partners there to help me to get up when I feel like I'm so low, just like Jonathan came and helped David. And then finally, togetherness. It brings warmth, that sense of involvement, of being in a community. God has a place for you to get connected. I want to encourage you this Sunday to find one of those places. Maybe it's the church down the street, or call us here at 100 Huntley Street. We'd gladly direct you to a place where you can find a place of community and wellness. But right now, look at those prayer lines. Call that number on the screen so that we can encourage you in your day-to-day journey. And remember, don't do it alone. We're called to be partners together in community.